Have you ever looked at your lab results and felt that cold drop in your stomach, wondering why your kidneys keep getting worse even though you're doing everything right? Because here's the truth almost. No one tells you until it's too late. Sometimes the very foods you believe are healthy, the ones you've trusted for years, are silently damaging your kidneys, meal after meal. And the scariest part is that most people never realize it until their creatinine jumps, their eGFR crashes, and suddenly everything becomes a race against time. My name is Dr. Mark Ellis, and before you take another bite of the rice on your plate, you need to hear this warning, because one wrong choice in your daily meals can push your kidneys closer to long-term damage far faster than salt, sugar, or even medication mistakes ever could. But the good news is this: once you understand which foods protect your kidneys and which ones quietly destroy them, you can take control of your health in a way that many of my patients wish they knew years earlier. Today, I'm going to reveal the 3 types of rice that genuinely support your kidneys and the 3 that can devastate them, even if you thought they were superfoods. And as we walk through each one, I'll show you exactly why these choices matter, the real stories behind the patients who proved it, and the science that explains why your kidneys respond so dramatically to something as simple as rice. This may be the most important message you hear this year, because the right knowledge doesn't just change your meals, it can change the entire future of your kidney health. And once you see how quickly the tide can turn, you'll never look at your plate the same way again. Let's start with the first rice most people overlook, even though it's one of the biggest reasons kidney numbers suddenly stabilize: long-grain white rice. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Isn't white rice supposed to be unhealthy? And that's exactly the misconception that cost one of my patients, Linda, nearly 2 years of kidney progress. She was doing everything by the book, cutting down salt, avoiding fast food, exercising daily. But her creatinine kept creeping up little by little, like a silent leak no one could find. When I asked her what type of rice she ate, she proudly said, "Brown rice, of course. It's healthier." And at that moment, everything clicked. Because when your kidneys are weak, healthier doesn't mean harder to filter. Long-grain white rice contains only about 45 milliliters of phosphorus and 50 milliliters of potassium per cup, which is dramatically lower than the levels found in brown or wild rice. Imagine your kidneys as a tired machine. White rice is the smooth, easy fuel that lets the engine rest instead of grinding harder. And clinical data backs this up. Patients who switch from brown rice to long-grain white rice often see a noticeable drop in phosphorus levels within 3 weeks, giving their kidneys the breathing room they desperately need. But beyond the numbers, most people don't realize how emotionally freeing this change can be. When Linda made the switch, she told me something powerful. "For the first time in months, I didn't feel afraid of my plate." And that's exactly the point. Kidney healing isn't just about science, it's about restoring confidence in the food you eat every day. If you've ever felt confused, guilty, or overwhelmed by dietary rules, long-grain white rice is the first step toward reclaiming control. Now, here's where I want you to reflect for a moment. What type of rice is in your pantry right now? If it's brown, wild, or black rice, you may be putting unnecessary pressure on your kidneys without even knowing it. And if it's white rice, you might already be giving your kidneys the quiet support they need, even if no one has ever told you that before. But before you assume that long-grain white rice is the best and only option, hold on, because the next type of rice not only protects your kidneys, but also stabilizes your blood sugar in a way most people never expect. And that's important because high blood sugar silently destroys kidney filters faster than nearly any other everyday habit. But knowing this alone isn't enough, because there's another rice more surprising, more misunderstood, and far more powerful for kidney protection that almost everyone overlooks. Now, if long-grain white rice gives your kidneys space to breathe, then Basmati rice is the quiet protector that goes one step further, because this is the rice that doesn't just reduce kidney stress, it stabilizes the very thing that destroys kidneys faster than almost anything else: blood sugar. And trust me, once you understand how powerful this is, you'll never look at your plate the same way again. I still remember Robert, a 63-year-old who walked into my office, exhausted, not physically, but mentally, constantly fighting between hunger and fear. If he ate too much, his blood sugar spiked. If he ate too little, he felt weak. Every meal felt like a gamble, with his kidneys caught in the crossfire. But the moment he switched to Basmati rice, everything changed. His blood sugar flattened out. His creatinine stopped rising. For the first time in years, he told me, "I feel like my body is finally calming down." And there's a reason why. Basmati rice has a glycemic index of around 50-58 compared to regular white rice, which often sits above 70. That lower number means glucose is released, slowly protecting the tiny blood vessels in your kidneys from sudden sugar shocks. On top of that, basmati contains resistant starch, a special type of carbohydrate that feeds healthy gut bacteria, reduces inflammation, and indirectly protects kidney tissue. When your inflammation drops, your kidneys can finally recover instead of constantly fighting fires inside your body. And if you've ever struggled with cravings or unstable energy, basmati can be one of the simplest tools to take back control. Because when your blood sugar stabilizes, your kidneys relax, your hormones balance, your appetite steadies. It's a domino effect of healing that starts with just one simple substitution. Now I want to ask you directly, have you ever noticed how your energy crashes after eating regular rice? If that sounds familiar, imagine what that does to your kidneys every single day. This isn't just about nutrition, it's about breaking a cycle that silently attacks your kidneys meal after meal. But don't get comfortable yet, because while basmati protects your kidneys in ways most people never realize, there is another type of rice that works on an entirely different level. One that doesn't just support your kidneys physically but emotionally keeps you committed to your healing journey. But only knowing this isn't enough, because the next rice holds a psychological advantage that can make or break your long-term kidney recovery, and most people have never even considered it. If basmati rice protects your kidneys by calming your blood sugar, then jasmine rice protects your motivation, the most overlooked part of kidney healing that no lab test can measure. Because let me tell you something many people don't realize until they're deep into their kidney journey: your diet only works if you can actually stick to it. And this is where jasmine rice quietly becomes a lifeline. I'll never forget Margaret, a 59-year-old patient who sat across from me with tears of frustration in her eyes. She wasn't failing because the diet was wrong. She was failing because the diet felt joyless. "Everything tastes bland," she said. "I feel like food isn't food anymore." And that emotional burnout was pushing her dangerously close to giving up. But the moment she switched to jasmine rice, the warm aroma, the soft texture, the familiar comfort, something changed. She didn't just follow the diet, she embraced it. And just 3 weeks later, her swelling reduced, her energy returned, and most importantly, she felt human again. Scientifically, jasmine rice mirrors the kidney-friendly mineral profile of long grain, white rice keeping potassium and phosphorus low enough for weakened kidneys to manage. But the secret isn't just the numbers, it's the psychology. Studies show that patients who enjoy their meals are up to 40% more likely to stick to kidney-safe eating. Long-term, and consistency is what determines whether creatinine stabilizes or continues climbing. Kidney recovery isn't built on willpower. It's built on habits you can love enough to repeat. So if you've ever felt discouraged, overwhelmed, or emotionally drained by strict kidney diets, jasmine rice might be the missing piece that helps you stay committed without feeling punished. Because the truth is, no diet heals your kidneys if you quit halfway. And when the food actually tastes good, you stop surviving the diet and start living with it. But don't get too comfortable yet, because while these 3 rices can protect your kidneys in powerful ways, the next part of this journey reveals something far more dangerous: foods that look healthy on the surface, but quietly attack your kidneys from the inside out. But knowing this alone isn't enough, because what comes next exposes a hidden threat far more common, far more misleading, and far more damaging than most people ever imagine. Now that we've explored the 3 rices that protect your kidneys, it's time to face the first of the silent dangers. And this one shocks almost everyone. Brown rice, the food praised in magazines, recommended by trainers, and labeled as super healthy, can quietly push weak kidneys toward decline far faster than people realize. And the saddest part is that most patients reach for it with good intentions, not knowing the damage it creates behind the scenes. Harold was one of them, a 58-year-old who proudly lived what he called a clean lifestyle: organic vegetables, no processed foods, and brown rice every single day. He genuinely believed he was protecting his kidneys, but his lab results told a very different story: phosphorus rising, potassium nearing unsafe levels, and creatinine slowly climbing like a warning signal no one could silence. The food he trusted most was the one quietly sabotaging him. Here's the science behind it. The outer bran layer of brown rice, the very part that gives it a healthy reputation, contains nearly twice as much phosphorus as white rice and significantly higher potassium. For healthy kidneys, this is manageable. But for weakened kidneys, these minerals become toxic burdens. Excess phosphorus leaches calcium from the bones and hardens blood vessels. High potassium increases the risk of dangerous heart rhythms. And when your kidneys can't clear these minerals, they accumulate in your bloodstream like heavy weights dragging your filtration system down. To make things worse, brown rice often contains arsenic stored in its bran. Healthy kidneys detoxify it. Weak kidneys do not. When Harold finally switched off brown rice, his numbers stabilized within weeks. Not because he added a medication, but because he removed a hidden threat. And I want you to pause and think about that. Sometimes kidney healing isn't about doing more. It's about removing what's silently destroying the progress you're trying so hard to make. If you've been eating brown rice thinking it was the safe or clean choice, you're not alone. Millions of people fall into the same trap every year simply because the truth isn't talked about enough. But understanding the danger of brown rice is only the beginning, because the next type of rice looks even healthier, sounds even more impressive, and is marketed as a premium super grain, yet it hides a deeper, more aggressive threat that weak kidneys cannot fight off. But knowing this alone isn't enough, because what comes next reveals a rice so deceptively healthy that it slips past even the most careful kidney patients. If brown rice is the silent trap disguised as healthy, then wild rice is the premium danger, a food that looks sophisticated, sounds nutritious, and is marketed as a luxury grain, yet can overwhelm weak kidneys faster than most people could ever imagine. Many patients reach for it thinking they're upgrading their diet, not realizing they're stepping straight into one of the highest mineral loads a damaged kidney will ever face. Gregory, a 67-year-old patient of mine, was one of them. He proudly told me he ate wild rice, quinoa, and organic vegetables every single day, believing he was doing everything right. But after just 6 months, his labs painted a much darker picture: phosphorus up by 40%, potassium pushing into the danger zone, rising blood pressure, and filtration dropping so quickly, he felt like he was aging a decade in half a year. And here's the heartbreaking part: he thought he was saving his kidneys, when in reality, he was suffocating them. Scientifically, wild rice carries 150-200 milligrams of phosphorus and nearly 180 milligrams of potassium per cup, 3 to 4 times higher than long-grain white rice. For strong kidneys, that's manageable. But for weakened kidneys, these numbers are catastrophic. Excess phosphorus hardens arteries and accelerates mineral imbalances. High potassium strains the heart and can trigger dangerous cardiac rhythms. These aren't theoretical risks. These are measurable physiological consequences. And the kidneys feel these burdens instantly. When your kidneys are already struggling to filter waste, pouring these mineral loads into your system is like adding heavy stones to a sinking boat. And yet wild rice's appearance, dark, earthy, natural, misleads people into believing it's safe. This is exactly why it's so dangerous. It hides behind a reputation of purity. Gregory told me something I'll never forget. I trusted the look of the food more than I trusted my symptoms. And many people do the same. They look at wild rice and see organic strength. Their kidneys, however, see overload, inflammation, and pressure. If you've ever felt drawn to wild rice because it looks healthier, you're not alone. Marketing convinces millions that darker grains equal better nutrition. But for kidneys, darker often means denser minerals, and denser minerals mean heavier work. But understanding wild rice is only part of the picture, because there is one more rice far more deceptive, far more dangerous, and far more aggressively harmful to weakened kidneys that hides behind the label superfood and attacks in a way these previous grains cannot. But knowing this alone isn't enough, because what comes next exposes a threat so sharp, so underestimated, and so physically damaging that it can slice into kidney tissue like broken glass. If wild rice is the premium danger, then black rice is the silent blade. Dark, glossy, marketed as anti-aging, detoxifying, full of antioxidants, yet hiding one of the most aggressive threats to weakened kidneys. I've seen more patients misled by this one grain than perhaps any other so-called superfood. And Teresa, a 61-year-old who followed every health trend she could find, became one of its most painful examples. She started eating black rice every morning because social media told her it would cleanse the liver and boost longevity. At first, she felt proud, like she was finally doing something powerful for her body. But 3 months later, her creatinine spiked, her eGFR dropped below 25, and scans revealed tiny razor-sharp oxalate crystals lodged inside her kidneys. The very food she believed was healing her was quietly cutting into her kidney tissue day after day. Here's what most people don't know. Black rice is extremely high in oxalates. In a healthy body, oxalates are filtered out easily, but in weak kidneys, they bind to calcium and form microscopic crystals, hard, sharp, and destructive. These crystals create inflammation, scarring, and long-term damage that no antioxidant label can counteract. And the danger doesn't stop there. Black rice also contains around 180 milligrams of phosphorus and over 200 milligrams of potassium per cup, forming a toxic trio for kidneys already struggling to filter even normal amounts of minerals. While influencers praise its color and Instagram-worthy appearance, your kidneys experience something entirely different: pressure, pain, and progressive decline. Teresa told me something that still echoes in my mind. I thought the darker the food, the healthier it was. And that belief is exactly what traps so many people. Darker grains may look powerful, but for weak kidneys, they often mean denser minerals, more oxalates, and heavier filtration burdens. The antioxidant benefits cannot outweigh the damage caused by oxalate crystals. That's why black rice is not just unhelpful, it's actively dangerous. So if you've been eating black rice, believing it was a smart choice, understand this: your kidneys aren't failing you. Your information has. And correcting that misunderstanding might save you from years of decline or even dialysis. But this is not the end of the story. Because while certain grains silently attack your kidneys, there is an entirely different category of food that can either elevate or collapse your kidney function depending on how you choose it. And almost everyone gets it wrong. But knowing this alone isn't enough, because what comes next reveals a deeper truth about kidney recovery, one that determines whether your numbers rise, stabilize, or finally begin to fall. So now that you've seen the truth, 3 rices that protect your kidneys and 3 that quietly destroy them, you might be realizing something most people never stop to consider. Your rice bowl is not just food, it's a daily medical decision. And for weak kidneys, it can be the difference between resting and recovering or silently slipping into decline without warning. What I've learned from thousands of patients is this: kidney healing isn't built on dramatic changes. It's built on the small decisions you repeat every single day. And nothing is more daily than rice. Choosing long-grain white rice, basmati, or jasmine is like giving your kidneys a soft landing, low in phosphorus, low in potassium, gentle, predictable, safe. These choices lower inflammation, stabilize blood sugar, reduce filtration pressure, and allow your kidneys to breathe again. Meanwhile, brown, wild, and black rice are like putting extra weight on an already injured joint. Eventually, something gives out. And here's the part most people overlook: the kidneys don't fail overnight. They fail quietly, gradually, through habits we thought were harmless. But they also recover in the same way, quietly, gradually, through better habits repeated consistently. When patients make the switch to kidney-safe rices, their creatinine often stabilizes, their swelling decreases, and their energy returns, not because of medication, but because their kidneys finally stop fighting unnecessary battles. It's not about perfection, it's about removing the silent burdens one meal at a time. But I want you to hear this clearly: rice is only one piece of the puzzle. Your kidneys aren't shaped by a single choice, they're shaped by a system, a pattern, a rhythm of daily habits that either protect them or push them to the edge. And the next part of this journey will show you exactly why your decisions beyond rice matter just as much, maybe even more, than the grain on your plate. But knowing this alone isn't enough, because what I'm about to share determines whether your kidneys simply survive or finally begin to heal in a way you can feel, see, and measure. At the end of the day, your kidneys aren't asking for perfection, they're asking for protection. And the fact that you stayed with me through this entire video tells me something important: you care about your health more than your fears, more than your confusion, more than the noise of all the conflicting information out there. That alone puts you far ahead of where most people ever begin. So take this knowledge and use it. Choose the rices that give your kidneys room to rest. Remove the ones that quietly work against you. And remember, every small choice you make, every meal, every habit builds a future where your kidneys feel supported instead of overwhelmed. If today's information helped you, please save this video so you can come back to it whenever you need a reminder, and subscribe to the channel so you never miss the latest medical insights, practical tips, and kidney-safe strategies designed to protect your health one day at a time. Your kidneys deserve consistent care, and I'm here to guide you through every step of that journey. And here's the hope I want to leave you with: your kidneys are not beyond repair. They respond to kindness, to patience, to small daily changes that compound into powerful results. You are not powerless. You are not alone. With the right knowledge and the right choices, your kidneys can stabilize, your energy can return, and your future can look brighter than your past. Keep going, keep learning, and keep believing in the possibility of healing, because it is real and it begins with you.